All right, I got 1 minute after, so we'll go ahead and get started. Just want to confirm, can someone let me know if they're seeing my screen okay?
Looks
Yep,
good, Hanna.
we can see.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm sharing my screen, so I won't be able to see chat, but so grateful for you to take the time to learn more about the Red Cross Collegiate Leadership Program. My name is Hanna Malak. I'm a Red Cross employee and have the honor and privilege of helping support this program. We're joined by a couple of my colleagues that we'll introduce as we get going. But before we do that, just wanted to, again, thank you all for coming and welcome Brian Hamill, our National Chair of Blood Services at the Red Cross, who helped co-found this program many moons ago. So Brian, we'd love to hear a couple words from you.
Well, Hanna, thank you. It's good to be with everyone, and thanks for joining the call. It's important that we hear from you and tell you a little bit about the program. I also want to thank Hanna for facilitating this. Hanna is one of our student mentors, and we'll talk to you a little bit about what that means. But Hanna went through the program years ago and has returned to support the program. In addition, Megan Mosiniak is on the call and Jenny Norton are on the call. And Jenny is a recent graduate from Cody College and went through the program a couple years ago, and we thought it'd be good for you to hear from her. And we also have my good friend Dan Wood, who's the executive director with the National Christian College Athletic Association in Greenville, South Carolina. Dan's on the call, and he's going to give you a little bit of insight from his experience, not only presenting during the program, but also talking about what this has meant for some of the members institutions of the NCCAA. So Hanna mentioned, I think Hanna's words were many moons ago. It's 18 plus years ago we started this program, and I started it because having been both an undergrad and graduate from NAIA schools and NCCA schools, I really thought it was important that we connect back to student leaders from these schools as a way to engage them in our Red Cross community. And in my role as National Chair of Biomedical Services, I support local communities with board members and different programs in that nature. And so we started this program as a way just to reconnect with our local communities. And we now just last year just celebrated our 18th year with in the program, and we continue to be enthused about the results of the program and the leadership that we get from our students. Hanna's going to talk a little bit about what they do when they come on our campus in Washington, D.C., but it's a very significant opportunity for your students to come to D.C. and become better leaders. So Hanna, I think I've probably said enough. I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so we are going to go through a quick slide deck. We promise it's not going to be death by PowerPoint, just to give an overview of our Red Cross Collegiate Leadership Program, and then we're going to leave plenty of time at the end to answer questions that you may have. So just a quick introduction. This is a partnership with the NAIA and the NCCAA. So just a little bit about the NAIA, founded in 1937, and in 2000 started this Champions of Character program, and a lot of the core values, align with the Red Cross mission, and one of the reasons why we partner with the NAIA. I won't do justice. We'll hear from Dan Wood a little bit later about the NCCAA, but they've been a partner of ours for the last 7 years. They're based in Greenville, South Carolina, and just been terrific partners with us in doing the game of life. Just some stats. We're working on updating this from the last couple years, but we've engaged over 140 campuses across the country to do blood programs and blood drives. You can see here the number of participants, the number of blood units collected, and then the dollars of scholarship dollars that we've been able to give to these institutions by taking part in this program. So again, we're very fortunate to be partners with the NAI and the NCCAA, and we strive to offer student leaders the opportunity to gain those leadership skills, build some confidence, and then engage with our life-saving mission. So some of our goals and objectives are to inspire the new generation of Red Cross volunteers and leaders. We want to promote diversity in the blood supply. It's really important for us to have a diverse blood supply for the patients in need. We look for folks to be champions of this humanitarian cause, really making an impact on our local communities, the campus communities, and the greater community. We want the folks in our program to be, living up to our core values. We provide training, coaching, mentoring, and other networking opportunities and foster leadership opportunities as well. So I'm going to turn over to my colleague, Megan, to talk about our selection process.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Mosiniak. I was a graduate of Lourdes University back in 2012 and participated in the program in 2010 and have been a mentor ever since. I currently serve as an assistant director of business and operations for the Division of Student Affairs here at TCU, so Texas Christian University. And I really attest this program to my current success. I think just being a participant in this program set my career off to the trajectory is at now. And so with my participation in the program, it really kind of sparked that love of student affairs in me. And so very happy to serve the students that are Red Cross Collegiate Leadership. Is everything okay?
Yeah, sorry. I'm going to mute somebody. So keep going and I'll share the slides again in a second.
Yeah, no worries. And so the participation in the selection process is usually around two rounds of interviews that we have with our students. So the first one is a phone interview that we'll have the students partake in, and we take them through a list of what they can expect with the program. So being it's a 2-week leadership academy at the headquarters of the National Red Cross in Washington, D.C. And so we typically choose around 12 to 15 students to participate each year with us. So we are really spanning the country from all corners with these students. And we're really looking for our students to be coachable and moldable as leaders. One of the core things, yes, they'll learn a bunch about the Red Cross and how to run blood drives on their college campuses, but we're also going to be really focusing on their leadership development, looking at students that hold themselves to very high integrity and student leaders that really want to make a change in their community. Hanna, if you can proceed. Thank you. So with the training, the selected students, again, they'll have firsthand coaching with executives from NCCAA, from the Red Cross, and a lot of presence from the NAIA as well. And so again, it'll be in Washington, D.C. for those 2 weeks, and it's in person. COVID, we did have a couple times where we had to be virtual, but it is a fully in-person experience that we want to make sure that the students are immersed into. Washington, D.C., a lot of times is the students' first taste of a big city, navigating public transportation. And that's why we're here as mentors and the leadership team with the Red Cross Collegiate Leadership Program. And you'll see some of the smiling faces on the screen right there. Those are some people that partaked in the past, and they're doing wildly successful on their campuses now. So as mentioned, it'll partake the first 2 weeks of June. And students will develop and they'll really start to enhance their leadership skills. We usually have a common read book that we really dive into. Each of the mentors have very in-depth presentations that we will be diving into a lot of the leadership components that we're looking for, and just being able to stay with these students along their leadership journey. Yes, it's 2 weeks, but it's a 2-year commitment. And so we're alongside those students every single step of the way for those 2 years, whether they're experiencing something on campus with the Red Cross that maybe we can help assist with. But the leadership development doesn't stop within those 2 weeks. They'll learn tools for campus blood drives and their success on their campuses, whether it be we have to find the perfect location. We have to be able to select the perfect date that isn't going to really clash with other big things that are happening on campus, from homecomings to school breaks, fall breaks, spring breaks. We're helping really have our students think through some of these logistical items to have very successful blood drives on their campuses. We also encourage them to host and try to start up a Red Cross Club on their campus because, as you know, teamwork makes the dream work. So we want to be able to have them have some teamwork around them and teammates to really help make these blood drives super successful and really hone in on some of those community development skills that we really, I think, make students so successful in this position. And this is just scratching the surface. We have a lot of in-depth conversations with them just about life, like doing life together. You may hear Dan Wood say that in a little bit, so sorry if I stole your thunder there, Dan. But doing life together, right? So this is more than just leadership development. This is truly a community that they get to say that they've been a part of for the rest of their lives. And so some of the blood drive organization, you'll see some more students there in front of the Capitol. This is right after a little scavenger hunt that we were able to kind of put them through, and being able to just kind of see all the national monuments and being able to get some of that rich history of Washington, D.C. So participants will learn how to organize and make their blood drive super successful with reaching out to people in marketing departments, using social media. How do we really get some of the best hits on social media to get some of the traction to the blood drives and really get blood donors to the actual drives themselves? And some of the incentives for some of the students, so they'll receive a $2,000 scholarship, and it's about $500 per semester, because unfortunately we have seen some students in the past kind of drop off with the expectation. So just to keep the integrity of the money and keep the integrity of the program, they'll receive $500 per semester for being actually being a part of the program. So it's helping their tuition bill as well. And so some of the student leadership trainings that we really hit on is a lot of open dialogue, right? Frequent communication with student leaders, how we can really start to think through some of those fine-tuned logistics of how to run these blood drives, like how many tables, how many chairs, are there cool incentives that we can offer? Like a lot of times, I'm from Toledo, Ohio, and if anyone knows of Cedar Point, it's an amusement park in Sandusky, Ohio. My local Red Cross was able to help get us like tickets, and we had raffles, and we were able to have movie nights. We were able to have some in honor drives from some local community members who really were impacted by the Red Cross, and so honoring the community in a larger capacity. So they'll be recruiting blood donors, they'll be getting volunteers for the drives, they'll be helping to organize drives and being able to get donors to them. So they'll be tabling across campus. They're going to try and find those hot spots. I always tabled at my cafeteria on campus because people like to eat. I like to eat, so let's get them while they're hungry, right? So having the table right there. And as you know, if there is food, students will come. So we always try to think of like these really creative ways to get students involved and really get that traction and that excitement around the drives, because we want it to be an experience. We want it to be a staple event that your community can really, really start to thrive on and be able to be like, hey, we're saving lives here actively on our campus each and every semester. And that is something that not a lot of students get the ability to say. And so it really puts our students in a position of high leadership and high community impact. And then I'm going to pass it over to Ginny, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her story and her experience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Norden, and I'm a recent Cotty College graduate in Nevada, Missouri. And I was part of the 2022 cohort and have been a student mentor ever since. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to still be one of the many moving parts in this program, even after my time as a student. So I just want to take the time to share my student perspective of the program to give insight as to what the select students can look forward to. So this program is a lot more than a trip to DC and organizing successful blood drives. While yes, that is the goal, it does come with a lot of personal growth and overall transformative leadership. So one of the most rewarding aspects of this experience for me was the friendships that I made. So I showed up to this program not knowing anyone, and I left with 13 lifelong friends and even the mentorship team in my corner. And to me, it's just so inspiring to dive into the unknown with a diverse team of students who are all passionate about the same mission. And I'm grateful to say that my class still stays in touch with one another even after graduating from our individual campuses. Like Megan said, and what Dan might say, we do life together every day, and it's very special to have that. We were all going through the same challenges and unknowns on our individual campuses, and just having that support group made all of the difference in our success. And the courage to go to DC and make new friends and relationships with complete strangers translated back onto my campus as well. So once I started a Red Cross Club, I had to do some recruitment. And with that, I developed many friendships with students and even faculty members that I probably would have never met otherwise, which led to an even larger support group and success in the blood drives and other events that we hosted. As far as leadership, I grew significantly as a leader. Initially, I was more quiet and reserved, either following the crowd or wanting to do just certain things on my own. But once I realized I was going to have to start something from the ground up in my case, since my school didn't have a club on campus, I had to develop, more confidence and not be scared to ask for help. And this program really got me out of my comfort zone with having to present in front of strangers and meeting new people. And honestly, just telling my story and why I was there at the program at that time. And I feel like when you're out of your comfort zone, that is where you grow the most. And the mentorship team and the guest speakers and the leaders who came and met with us created a safe space from the beginning for that vulnerability and overall self-reflection, which made me discover the leadership that I could be and who I was meant to be. And because blood drives specifically are not a one-man job, I learned to trust those around me and encourage input instead of, feeling like I had to figure it out all on my own, as I did on my first day in the office with everyone talking about blood drives. I was able to, lean on my cohort and the mentors and my own personal team during my time as a blood program leader. And I feel like this shift in thinking not only improved my success, but also led to just a more efficient and well-rounded oiled machine and work environment. And I feel like those skills often translated into even my athletic environment on campus and in the classroom as well. As far as organizing blood drives, it also opened a lot of new connections within the community. So my college is in a really small town, and I had the opportunity to network with local leaders and businesses and other organizations on campus that I otherwise would not have relationships with. And these connections did make a positive difference in the success of my drives because it was so small, everyone wanted to support it. And they also provided valuable insights into what the community was also needing at that time. And we were even able to partner in more ways than just the blood drives on my campus. And I feel like that made a positive impact. And I often got encouraging feedback from school board members and even students about the contribution that my club was bringing into the community and how community members were more interested in the campus overall because we didn't get a lot of attention and recognition prior to the Red Cross Club. And as far as one of the key takeaways that I still practice to this day is practicing gratitude. And the importance of it is touched a lot throughout the program in many different ways from different speakers and different leaders and even the students as a whole. And during my time as a leader on my campus and even now, I made a point to acknowledge and thank my team and mentors through thank you notes, a text, a phone call, and even, giving them that public recognition. And this exercise, strengthened our relationships and created a positive atmosphere, which overall just made everyone want to contribute even more and take on new roles and ideas. And help me maintain a positive outlook, especially in those times when challenges did come, because they will come with this role. So for example, throughout all of the blood drives, we face several challenges such as last minute changes in logistics and conflicts within the team. So for instance, when the collection staff was running late one day, I had to quickly send out that message to campus and donors saying, hey, there's going to be a delay. If the space lost power, finding a new location quickly and efficiently, or if, like Megan said, there isn't enough chairs or tables, knowing who to contact and how to get them there as quickly as possible. And I feel like facing these challenges taught me resilience and the importance of focusing on the solutions rather than dwelling on the problems, which is something I struggled with before my time in this program. And with that, just knowing how to let things beyond my control go. And before I entered this program, that again is something I struggled with and something that all of the students and the mentor team and the speakers really encourage you to do. And we encountered several uncontrollable factors, whether it was weather, and just accepting these realities and focusing on what I could control, like adapting our schedule and considering all the little aspects that you probably wouldn't have before that happened, helped me manage not only like my stress, but also being able to lead my team more efficiently and effectively. So in conclusion, the RCCLP was an overall transformative experience that positively influenced my personal and professional growth. It helped me build beautiful relationships. I think it's really special when you can spend a week or two with strangers and then be really, really sad when it's the last day because of how much your time together meant to you. And it also helped me develop my leadership style, finding out what works best for me so I can be successful back on campus and making those valuable connections with people that I probably wouldn't have before. So, yes, these lessons continue to shape my approach to leadership and all of my future aspirations. And I'm just very grateful to be a part of it still to this day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shinny, for sharing your experience. Is very valuable. We're going to switch over to Dan Wood, who's the executive director for the NCCAA. He's been a fantastic partner, and just wanted to hear, let you guys hear from his experience, his partnership with the program. So Dan, I'll pass it off to you. Oh, you might be muted, Dan.
The simplest thing for me to do is to just say what she said, because she just kind of described what happens within the leaders that come, but the leaders that leave this program as they come back. And not to be platitudes, but I'm just going to tell you, I'm 40 years deep in intercollegiate athletics, mainly at the faith-based level, but always at the NAI, NCCAA level. It's the best leadership program I've ever discovered. Not because I've been able to be a part and come up for the last 6-7 years, but what they do, how they do it, I think. But I think, like most things, the why they do it the way they do it is critical mass to this program. And to Brian and Hanna and Megan and now Jenny, I think 48 days and counting, I believe, until the wedding. I thank them for what they do. I think the partnership they blend in, I think when I first was invited, I had no idea the level of expertise and acumen that was coming to the table in their speakers bureau. If I had, I would have declined because they needed somebody different. National leaders, political, but civic, biomedical experts, those in this field, professional athletes, which are always fun to share some time with, role models from about every walk of life you can think of, are there presenting to these 13, 14, 15, 16 college students who have come to a program with some unknowns, and what they're going to leave with is what Jenny just described. They are going to leave impacted. They're going to leave impassioned, and they're going to leave with more contacts in their phone than they got there with. And that's the doing life. That's not original. That's a Truett Cathyism. When asked about making a living, Truett Cathy said he never started out to create a living. He was trying to create a life. And that is one of the things that I try to challenge the students with. A living is this economical, status-driven thing that our culture kind of imposes, and a life is a daily journey filled with amazing things you will plan to see and you will not plan to see, and they will shape you every 24 hours. And when you start over tomorrow, you'll get to do the exact same thing. And to watch the challenges, when Brian described the first time to me, so what are they now going to do? We're done with the session. Their projects they do individually, corporately, their reading, the requirements of the curriculum. It's all outstanding stuff. And I think it creates a work ethic. I think the convergence of responsibility. That's a big word that comes to me when I leave this every year. The responsibility given to these young people for themselves and for their cohort and team. It's fun to watch them just dive in. And I'm sure what Jenny described. I'm not certain of what I'm going to do. I'm an introvert. And you don't get to do that more than about 48 hours in this program, or it will bypass you. And to watch them dive in, even in the sessions, people will be arm's length. If you've ever been a speaker, you've watched, you've been able to read the room, and you can watch those who want to sit back and kind of hear and surmise a little later, and they get drawn into the conversation. I love watching that. It's a good group dynamic. I think the other part of this is the impact when they get back. I'm not certain, Hanna could help and correct, but I think we're at 15 or 16 NCCA campuses have sent a student. Now, some of those may have been dually affiliated with the NAI, couple of them with the NCAA, Cedarville University, for example. But when I hear back from an AD, from a coach, many cases from a president, of what that student brought back and who that student was when they returned, typically in August, they're different. They are shaped. They are pushing a Red Cross blood drive, and they are creating clubs or enhancing clubs, but they're just a leader. And I think what Jenny said, so many of the institutions watching this, you are from college and campuses of 3,000, 2,000 students and less. Many of you are in small towns and rural. And I think there can become a stigma that, well, I can't make great impact. And I think what these students lead in the biggest leadership hub of our country for 2 weeks, Washington, D.C., if you can lead 100, you can lead 1,000,000. If you can lead 1,500, you can lead 15 billion, or whatever number, whatever you want to go chase. And they learn, I have the ability to lead. Humbly, gratitude was a word already used, but they learn that, or they learn that it is something they should have remembered. They may have heard it before, but that may have gone on the shelf. And to watch them see their value in leading and then go back to these campuses and the stories, we are doing life. I'm following Jenny. My wife and I are disappointed that somebody has a schedule that doesn't let me go to a wedding in 47 days. I've watched a young lady from, I think, 2 years ago, her pageant life, watching that on social media and her and saying, hey, will you pray, and getting my wife involved, who was not, just to watch. They do want to do life. They do want to be mentored. And so my biggest take from this is I am fed up with hearing people blast this generation, these young people. Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I do. I know that every summer I'm seeing 16 that are going to change things. The term world changer is overused, and I agree with that. You know, world change. That's what some of these will be. But before they do that, they're going to change Cotty College, and they're going to change Bethel University, and they're going to impact Cedarville. They're going to impact Grace Christian up in Michigan. I just shared with Brian and Hanna one of the incredible stories out of this whole effort is a young lady who now, from living homeless in the back of a car, now a professional running athlete, is now a college track and field coach at her alma mater, starting this fall. And Brian so summed it up. Can you imagine the leader that went back and now did change that campus then for her last 2 years, and that leader now getting ready to impact a whole team of student athletes coming to compete and having no idea. They have no idea who's going to lead them and the impact that's going to come. I would simply tell you that when a student athlete on your campus fills out an application for this program, your whole campus is about to get better if they get selected. They will come back better. Their individual team will be improved. And I think the thing I like about it too is when they open it up, it's not just the student athlete, it's the student population. Student athletes may be the target. Yes, NAI, NCCA, we get that. But there are students that come in and I love, what's your extracurricular? And they say, oh, I don't play sports. That's fine. What do you do? And to hear what some of them do, they make great impact there. So Hanna, Brian, Megan, Jenny, others, to the American Red Cross, I can't say thanks enough. I'm an A negative blood type. I was a C minus student, but I am blessed A plus to have been a part, and for our member institutions, quite candidly, to be a part. I hope we're pushing it, we're promoting. I hope they'll get more engaged because it's just that good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. Appreciate the kind words. We're going to turn it over now just to open the floor for questions. I'll stop sharing my screen and put a couple resources in the chat for folks. We do have a website where our actual applications live. Applications are live and folks can apply now. So just appreciate you helping spread the word with your college campuses and your networks. the deadline is in December for applications to come due. We do look for college sophomores, or current sophomores, just because we're investing in the scholarship dollars, we're investing in the student leaders, and we want them to commit to those drives their junior and their senior years. International students are welcome to apply. That's a question we often get. And students, of all leaders are able to apply. Historically, the program started with an athlete focus, but any student leader that's a sophomore is welcome to apply. So I'm going to put some items in the chat. If you do have questions, feel free to write them in the chat, raise your hand. We have our team on here that's happy to take those questions. While folks are thinking of questions, anyone on the leadership team want to add anything that we haven't discussed yet? It's like Marshall does have his hand up, so we'll jump to Marshall.
This from here in Dallas, Texas. I had a question. You mentioned sophomores. Are we only accept applications from sophomores? Should I only be putting out my sophomores and above, not freshmen?
Correct. We do look for sophomores. That way the cohort is the same age and kind of going through the same college experiences. So sophomores are the target.
I also saw on what you sent out a requirement for the colleges to understand that we would have to host a blood drive on campus. Trying to understand what all that entails, or any legal issues that we should be concerned about from an administrative standpoint.
Yeah, great question. So in addition to the training the students get in DC, there's a local donor recruitment representative. So they'll have a point of contact locally. When we host a blood drive, we look for a room, about 2,000 square feet of open space, tables and chairs. And then the Red Cross really provides the rest. We provide the flyers, the juice, the snacks, the water, but the students know their campus the best. So there may be some incentives that they bring and get engaged with. We can provide a certificate of insurance. We have all of that, but folks from many different industries, campuses, corporations, churches are doing blood drives every single day.
And if that ever is posed an issue, being at TCU, I do work with business and operations. So I do a lot of our contracting, working with certificate of insurance, and happy to assist if that ever poses an issue on your campus.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah.
How many days is the blood drive event? Is that just one day? And if just one day, how many hours are we looking at as well?
Yeah, it's typically one day. There are some campuses, just because they're so big, they do 2-day blood drives, but typically one day is the expectation. Blood drives run about 5 to 6 hours, and then we need to set up about an hour beforehand, and cleanup is usually about an hour and a half after the drive ends. So that's good to know, especially if you're using a student union or a gym and there's practice or groups before or afterwards, just having time for the cleanup and setup.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, great questions. There was a question in the chat about the 2 interviews. How will the second interview be conducted? We are moving to virtual interviews, so we're going to be utilizing either Zoom or Teams for those interviews this year. And once we see the different sets of applications, we just make sure we move forward folks who have complete applications, and then do the process of interviewing. So we set those up.
Some of you may wonder if the entirety of our time in DC is on our campus. Let me tell you some of the other fun things that we do. We do take the students to a Washington Nationals baseball game, and so we end up going to that game. This year we went and watched Caitlin Clark play the Washington Mystics, and had a great time doing that. We spend a day on Capitol Hill, and while we're there, we actually do meet with sitting senators and sitting congressmen and go to the chambers. And so we ask our students to lead the questions to the senators or a congressman. We bring in external speakers that we'll talk through a number of different creative things in the area of diversity, and also how to deal with challenging people, and so we do that as well. We have some fun activities in the evening, including a scavenger hunt that takes place on the National Mall, and it's always fun to watch some of our students interrupt a baseball game on the National Mall and either hit the ball or kick the ball or do something. But we have a great time doing that as well. So it's not all in our rooms at our national headquarters. We do have a lot of fun activities going on as well.
Awesome. Marshall, looks like you have another question.
I do. What are the time requirements for these students outside this 2-week intensive throughout the 2 years?
Yeah, so we really encourage folks to start a Red Cross Lab and build a team just so that all the work isn't, let on their shoulders. Some good leadership experience for them. So it's one blood drive each semester, and there's some work around promoting, reserving the room, some day of drive, commitments and requirements that come with it. But there's it isn't a heavy lift. We know a lot of the leaders that we pick, they are leaders for a reason. So some of them tend to be, leading clubs. They may be RAs. They're already engaged. But building that leadership team on their campus to help share the load is what we recommend. And teamwork makes the dream work, like Megan said.
How often are they meeting with their mentors?
Yeah, a lot more when the blood drives are taking place, and those are just quick phone calls. Sometimes we put people into kind of smaller pods. There's a couple of those meetings, but we are very flexible with schedules, knowing there's different time zones. People have different time commitments and all that good stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Marshall. And I know I've emailed out our flyer, but I just posted it in the chat as well. It's got a QR code to our website. I posted our website in the chat. Again, that's where applications are held and where folks can actually submit their applications. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in the chat, raise your hand. Marshall. Oh, you might be on mute. Oh, still on mute if you're talking.
All right, sorry about that. So one of the things I noticed from the pictures that you guys had of the cohorts that you previously had were that they were mostly female. The majority of the 13 that I saw were mostly female. Is that usually, is that by design, or is that usually just the students that actually show the interest the most?
Yeah, it's a good. Go ahead.
Marshall, that's a great question. It is purely reflective on the number of applications that we get, and we almost always get probably 80 to 90% females that are applying to the program, and so we almost have to go out of our way to find to select some gentlemen to participate in the program. So we would love to find a better balance, and we've had a couple years where there's been one male in the program, and I'm sure he would echo that. Boy, it would be nice to have another man to enjoy the 2 weeks with.
Okay, well, makes sense. One rule the world, so I'm for it.
Great observation. All right, well, not seeing any other questions, we can go ahead and wrap things up. Again, just thank you for being here and having interest in the program. We did record this session, so we will send out a recording, so you will have access to that. Appreciate your support in spreading the word on your campuses. This is an amazing opportunity. It really changed my life. I am an employee now with the Red Cross. That would have never happened if it wasn't for this program. And just, again, grateful for the interest and support in getting the word out. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We're happy to help and answer any of those questions. So thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Stop the recording here.